What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fan of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And following the conclusion of the NFL draft, the Kansas City Chiefs picked up a group of interesting undrafted free agents who have a shot to make the Kansas City Chiefs 53-man roster next season. We're going to talk about some of those names right after this. So, ladies and gentlemen of the Chiefs Kingdom, as I said before the intro, the Kansas City Chiefs signed a plethora of undrafted free agents after the NFL draft wrapped up yesterday. There were a few guys that the Kansas City Chiefs thought may have even been drafted, and as soon as they realized that they were not, they scooped them up very quickly. Now, before we get into this video, I just want to put out the disclaimer that I do every year I make this video. And let me tell you, I'm very excited to make this video because this is one of my favorite videos I make each year, is breaking down the Chiefs undrafted free agents. I just have a lot of fun researching these guys and telling you about them and which ones I think have the best chance of making the team. But the thing I always say before is we have to remember that these are UDFAs. It is always going to be an uphill battle for a UDFA to make an NFL roster. 90% of these guys never end up doing anything. And even the ones that do usually spend at least a couple years on the practice squad before they make any real impact. So while it's cool to get excited about these guys, let's have realistic expectations for them. Do not take anything that I say in this video and use it to say, these guys are going to be stars in the NFL and the Chiefs just got an absolute steal of UDFA. Everyone thinks every undrafted free agent they picked up is a steal, but obviously there's a reason why these guys went undrafted. So with that disclaimer being said, and without further ado, let's get into some of the names. So I'm going to put on a complete list of the UDFAs that we know have signed with the Kansas City Chiefs to this point. There may be more later on, but it's going to be less notable players. But this is from Let's Chat Chiefs on X, and he puts out the names here. We have wide receiver Elijah Badger from Florida, wide receiver Magdalena from Fresno, wide receiver Dante Wright from Temple, tight end Jake Brining Stool from Clemson, offensive tackle, Isiah Pole, Washington State, RB Quaylen Jones from Stephen F. Austin, RB Elijah Young from Western Kentucky, DT Keziah Izzard from Penn State, LB Brandon George from Pittsburgh, safety Will Brooks from Tennessee, and then the punter from USC. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that name. But guys, the first one that I want to talk about is Washington State offensive tackle Isiah Pole. This was definitely a guy that a lot of people thought could get drafted, and I'll throw his RAS score up on the screen as well. This is someone who is a plus athlete with good size. Like you see, he's at least 320 pounds, well over 6 feet. Didn't have a great bench press, but that's because you look at him, he's got long arms, guys. It's hard for people with long arms to bench press that many reps. He's got 33.5-inch arms, definitely has the measurables of an offensive tackle. And what I'll say about him is I know Matt Lane from KCSN really likes him and thinks that he has a chance to maybe be a nice developmental tackle prospect that could maybe even compete at right tackle in the future for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think most of us can guess that Jawan Taylor, his time as a Kansas City Chief is nearing the end with that contract he has. It's very likely he gets cut after next season. And so there's going to be an open competition next year at right tackle, whether that be Jalen Moore or whether that be Josh Simmons or even Isiah Pole. I think he'll have a chance. He's going to come in at training camp as a UDFA, and I think he's going to push some of the other guys on the Chiefs roster. That's definitely an interesting one to me. He did not allow a single sack at Washington State this past season, so that's always impressive when a guy doesn't allow a single sack all season. Now, the next guy that I want to talk about, and this is one of my favorites right here, actually, is Florida wide receiver Elijah Badger. So Elijah Badger, I've actually followed his college career pretty closely, transferred to Florida after spending some time at Arizona State. And his RAS score, I mean, he's an elite athlete. He's got speed, but he's also a bigger wide receiver than what the Chiefs, have on their roster. He's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and I really like what he brings to the table. Had over 800 yards receiving for Florida last year. Definitely could have had more if Florida's quarterback situation at the beginning of the season wasn't such a mess and if their season wasn't such a mess, but they definitely became a better team in the second half of the season. And DJ Lagway, who's going to be a big NFL quarterback prospect here over the next couple seasons, I think, he really got Elijah Badger going in that offense. But this is someone that has a serious shot to, dethrone someone like Nico Remigio or Sky Moore off this roster. He's got a lot of talent, definitely had a draftable grade, ended up falling through the cracks, undrafted free agent, one of the more heralded wide receiver UDFAs. So I'm really interested to see what he does. Definitely think he's going to provide some nice competition in camp. He's quick, he's twitchy, he's fast. He averaged, I believe, nearly 20 yards per catch this past season at Florida. That is a significant number. That is someone that is creating explosive plays. And we all know that the Kansas City Chiefs lacked explosive plays last year. So definitely want to see what he can do. And then the next guy, probably neck and neck with Elijah Badger as far as my favorite UDFA signing, the most intriguing. But that is going to be Clemson tight end Jake Stool. So I actually want to bring up a tweet from Matt Derrick here about Jake Stool, who reports that Clemson tight end Jake Stool gets a $30,000 signing bonus and $234,000 in total guaranteed signing with the Chiefs as a UDFA. That's more guaranteed than some late round picks will receive, which tells you that the Kansas City Chiefs were shocked that this guy did not get drafted. Now, I think tight end is one of those positions that the Chiefs may very well have drafted this guy if they didn't have other needs, especially towards the end of the draft, like running back. They definitely had to come out of the draft with at least one running back, and they did. Otherwise, they may have gotten around to drafting a guy like Jake Stool, maybe if they didn't have to trade up. But we know the Chiefs traded up a couple times in this draft, and so that usually kind of takes up some of your assets for later in the draft that would be used to get a guy like this. But I really like Jake Stool. He's very intriguing. So he actually left Clemson as their all-time receptions leader for a tight end. Very productive. And you look at the way he moves, and man, he is just a smooth operator and loves to find the soft spot in the coverage. He's got good hands. I mean, that is the most important trait for a tight end, I think, coming to the NFL. If you think they can succeed at the next level as a receiving tight end, that's what Jake Stool primarily is a receiving tight end. He's not really a blocker. I mean, that's an area in which he's probably going to have to put in some work if he wants to play early, because if you can't block, that'll get you off the field pretty quickly as a rookie. So there needs to be some work done there. But the receiving upside is, I mean, really exciting when it comes to Jake Stool. And you hate to say it for every tight end because it feels like we do this all the time as comparing tight ends to Travis Kelce. But guys, he kind of moves like Travis Kelce a little bit. I know it is a comparison that has gotten beaten to death, but just a smooth operator, working on the defense, finding those soft spots, just a natural receiver. I mean, he basically is a glorified wide receiver playing tight end, what a lot of people have always said about Travis Kelce, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. And what better situation to come into than learning behind Travis Kelce while he's here for at least another year. Jake Stool can learn behind him. Now, his path to making the roster, I think, is a little bit difficult because you have Jared Wiley coming back after he tore his ACL, but the Chiefs really like him. They spent a fourth-round pick on him last year. Noah Gray's here to stay. Travis Kelce's obviously going to be on this team. The Chiefs typically don't carry more tight ends than that. I find it hard to believe that he will make the roster, but definitely someone that I think the Chiefs are obviously invested in. I mean, to give him that amount of guaranteed money as a UDFA, that means they probably would have spent a draft pick on him if they had the opportunity. And he's probably going to come in here, might spend some time on the practice squad, and eventually make his way up to the roster, especially if Travis Kelce does retire here in the next year or two. You're going to want to find guys to kind of help replace some of that production. Jake Stool is definitely an interesting prospect in that regard. But guys, before I go any further about the Chiefs' undrafted free agents, I want to talk about an app that's coming out next football season, Penalty Verdict, a tool that you're going to want to have when it comes to football discourse. If you're tired of people accusing the referees of helping the Kansas City Chiefs win football games, you're going to want to check out this app because it is going to be key to discussions with opposing fans. Let's check it out. Whether you're sick of seeing your team constantly get screwed over by the refs, tired of hearing about how your team only wins because of the refs, or simply just desire fair play and accountability, then Penalty Verdict is the perfect app for you. Penalty Verdict is a new app that allows football fans to vote on penalty calls in real time on both NFL and college football games. With Penalty Verdict, you'll be able to engage with a community of football fans who desire accuracy and transparency in officiating. And not only does Penalty Verdict allow you to vote on and discuss penalties in real time, but you'll also have access to data and statistics on specific referees. And you can even see what your favorite team's win-loss record is with that referee heading the crew. You can use this information to make educated guesses on who's going to win each game, and earn even more XP, which can be used to place wagers and climb up leaderboards on Penalty Verdict. Unlock the next dimension of sports by engaging with real-time polling of referees, players, and teams. And lastly, view data-driven insights to have informed discussions about the games. While Penalty Verdict is still in the development phase, we would love to hear your guys' feedback on what features you want to see in the app for next football season. Invite your friends to join and share Penalty Verdict today, and follow Penalty Verdict on social media. So you guys, that's Penalty Verdict. You're going to want to go ahead and get on the wait list. The link to do that is in my description. I want to see you guys on there next football season, climbing up those leaderboards, chiming in on officiating. It's going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you check out Penalty Verdict. But back to the UDFAs. So another one that I found to be pretty interesting is Pittsburgh linebacker, Brandon George. Now, the reason this one is very interesting is pretty simple. He is an elite athlete, a top of the top athlete, a 1% athlete. You look at that RAS score, the guy is elite just about everywhere. And actually, when you use MathBomb's system to look into these guys, he usually will tell you, where they rank among other prospects that have tested previously in past years. And Brandon George was the number 7 athlete out of over 3,000 linebackers to test since they've been keeping track of this. So, I mean, this is, like I said, a 1% athlete that the Kansas City Chiefs are bringing in to compete at linebacker. Now, I've looked at some of his film, and it's clear why he went undrafted. He just doesn't seem to know what he's doing a lot of times. He's very unpolished. He's just going out there and he's being told to do this and that and use your athleticism, be an athlete on the football field. And obviously, that's not great. You want to get him coached up and maybe see if he can do something. And that's really why they're bringing him in as a UDFA. He's an elite athlete. They're taking a shot on upside. That's mostly what these UDFA signings are, is taking a shot on upside, taking a shot on athletes. And this guy's an elite athlete. But the thing is, the Chiefs obviously spent a draft pick on a linebacker already. Their linebacking room is pretty much set. And they also have other guys that they like a Jack Cochran, who maybe isn't necessarily in the rotation, but is probably going to be on the roster. So it would take a lot for Brandon George to unseat one of the current linebackers to make the team. And it kind of reminds me of Curtis Jacobs last year, who was very similarly a really good athlete. And I said, hey, this guy's going to make the roster as the 4th linebacker. That didn't happen. And now he's been on 3 teams in 2 years, which is why I always put the disclaimer at the beginning. You just can't expect too much. If you don't have any expectations, then you can't really get disappointed, right? But Brandon George is the most intriguing athlete that the Chiefs were bringing in out of this entire draft class, really, but mainly out of the UDFAs. So we'll see what he does, man. Maybe the Chiefs can get him coached up. Maybe they can get working with him, because I'll tell you what, Leo Chenal came in a similar fashion where he needed some coaching before he really got the playing time. And now you look at where he is now, and he's just a menace in all phases of the game. Special teams, he's a monster. He's a good run defender. He can take on blockers at an elite level. Maybe Brandon George can get there one day. We'll see. The athletic ability is obviously there. We'll just have to see what he does. Now, the last UDFA that I wanted to talk about, and this is not one that I expect to make the roster. I'll just come out and say that now. But he's interesting. And the reason I say that is because I kind of know a lot about him, and that is Western Kentucky running back Elijah Young. Now, as a Missouri Tigers fan, I know him and I was familiar with his name because he used to be on the Missouri Tigers, transferred out to Western Kentucky a couple years ago, but he was named the best football player in the state of Tennessee coming out of high school. And he runs a 4.3 40-yard dash, elite speed, very quick, very fast accelerator. And like I said, I don't expect him to make the roster. The Chiefs already have 4 running backs that they already like on this roster, and then they just drafted SMU running back Rashard Smith, who I think is probably going to make the team. You just don't have room for all those running backs. But Elijah Young is someone that I just want to see out there with the other guys and see how he looks comparatively, because the speed and the acceleration is elite with Elijah Young. And I think the reason that he transferred out from Missouri and what some of his weaknesses are is he's not very agile. He's a straight line runner. But if he can bring you some explosive runs where if you can open up big holes for him and he can just run past everyone, that could be kind of fun. So we'll see, man. 4.3 40-yard dash. You can't teach that kind of speed. You can't teach the kind of acceleration that he has. I couldn't find a RAS score for him. I don't think they recorded any of his testing numbers in their system, but I'm interested. I want to see what he looks like with those other guys out there. Definitely going to be a good competition for training camp. But guys, that's pretty much it as far as the undrafted free agents go. Those are the guys that I think have the best shot to kind of do something to stand out among the UDFAs that the Chiefs have brought in. We'll see. I think as far as making the roster, the guys with the highest likelihood are Elijah Badger and Isiah Pole. The other guys, I think their best shot is maybe to hook onto the practice squad in some form or fashion. But we'll see. Definitely want to hear from you guys down in the comments below who your most exciting UDFAs are. If any of these guys stand out to you, anyone that I didn't talk about that you guys want to talk about in the comments, definitely drop that down below. But yeah, with all that being said, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. Make sure you check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com for more. And last but not least, make sure you follow me on Twitter at showmefb. That's all I got for you guys in this one. I'll see you all in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs!